Right, let's start in Boksburg, where families are picking up the pieces after a gas tanker explosion claimed 15 lives. Police have arrested a 32-year-old driver. The suspect faces multiple counts of culpable homicide and is expected to appear in court on Wednesday. Senior reporter Silindelo Masikane caught up with the family that lost 4 children in the explosion. Let's go live to her now for the latest. Slee, how are things looking there? We know mop-up operations were continuing, but let's also start with this poor family losing 4 of its family members.
It's a horrific, it's a tragic situation, something this community and of course these families did not expect on the eve of Christmas Day. A tanker got jammed in a low-lying bridge here just opposite the Tambo Memorial Hospital. And we've all seen the videos on social media. We've seen the tragedy that transpired after that explosion. And of course, the family is now trying to pick up the pieces. But not only that, funeral arrangements are being made, but the community as a whole still reeling from the shock. You can see that people from as far as Pretoria are coming to the site of this explosion to try and understand and get a sense as to what happened. It's still quite an emotional and traumatic incident. The scenes which unfolded, we spoke to many of the first responders who were still in shock, who were still also just trying to make sense of what happened, describing very, very disturbing scenes of people's skin peeling off their bodies, people's limbs just everywhere here at the site of the explosion, and how they had to work quite quickly to try and get those who were injured some kind of assistance. Many of them were injured in their homes. In fact, what you're seeing in front of you now is the brother of the family member of the family that has lost 4 children. Many people who are coming to Boksburg right now are trying to assist this family, giving care packs, leaving money just to assist in any way they can. But you can see that it's still very, very painful for many people to try and understand how those who have had to survive and go through this incident, how they're actually managing. I'm going to ask my colleague Mokhomotsi Setuki to move with me. We're going to go inside a home that is just a few meters away from where this incident occurred. Of course, there's been a lot of damage to this home, but I think what's very, very encouraging with this story is that this mother survived, her children survived. She was able to smell the gas quite quickly and removed her children from the home further away from the explosion. This is just some of the damage to her home, and she also has some injuries, but unlike others, she is at least alive to tell us what happened, but of course quite injured. You can see that she's got some burn marks on her arm. Her ear also was caught in that blaze. Sis Sandra, we just want to send our condolences not only to those who have lost their lives, because we know you know many of those who have succumbed to their injuries. Maybe just tell us once more how you managed to survive and get you and your family away from this explosion.
How I managed, it was only by God's grace. For me, it was by God's grace. It was only God. Because I was standing there. I was there since from the time that the truck, when it got stuck, I had the pressure and I came out. I was standing there. And the first blast happened. I took my children out. We ran out because the house was was shaking. So from there we stood there, me and my children. We stood there with my my sister and her husband and her 2 children. We stood there and everyone else. The flames were there, we were there. The second blast, just as I went around the corner, I took my baby from my sister's son. Just as I walked around the corner, that's when the explosion happened. That's how it happened. So for me, it was by God's grace. Yeah. Because otherwise, few seconds, me and my children and all of us were going to die.
Yeah. You also showed me that the baby also got a little bit of some injuries, but of course she has no idea what happened and is seemingly still very much in good health, Ms. Sandra.
Yes.
Maybe just tell me then your expectations and your hope, because, you know, we have families that need assistance with burials, but of course your home has suffered extensive damage as well.
Yes, my home has been damaged, but for now we don't know what is going to happen because we are waiting for as I went to the police station, they said I should wait for the docket to be opened, that like the docket for the whole area. Then I'll go and report. So I don't know if the insurance is going to help or the company that is involved. I don't know who's going to help. Yeah. Yes, I don't have electricity. My windows, everything is damaged. You can see even this. Can you see that it's out? So I cannot even sleep in the house because I don't know. As you can see, palisades are out, so anyone can just jump in and take advantage of the whole situation.
So are you having to leave your home overnight and come back in the morning?
Yes, I'm sleeping at my sister because she lost her husband and her son. It's just one house away from me, so I'm sleeping there at the moment.
Honestly, we're all trying to make sense of what happened here. What do you think? This could have been prevented, do you think?
I think it could have been prevented in a way. Why I say it so is when the truck got stuck, the pressure that was there in the truck, I don't know what was in there. It took like an hour, 30 minutes for the explosion to happen. So I think it could have been prevented, like the death for so many, if maybe police were here just for them to put people to the safety, like to put those that are not cross thing, like it should have happened like that. But because people were standing like just close to the bridge like this, but as for me, I didn't stand there. I was just up here. So at least if people had knowledge of what was in there, I don't think we were going to stand as close as that. But nobody knew what was in there.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Ms. Sandra. All right. One of the survivors, Masego, just giving us some context as to how they managed to get out of that situation. And we spoke to the EMS's William Ntladi a little bit earlier on, who actually said to us that there was at least 60,000 tons of gas in that tanker. We know that the tanker itself as well actually disintegrated during that explosion, and at this point the death toll still remains at 15 at this stage, and emergency services are also on the scene, and of course security has been beefed up around the actual site itself.
One more question, Slee. I mean, the only positive thing coming out of that interview, of course, besides the fact that that family survived, is that little child smiling at you while you interview its mother. But just tell me about this particular driver, Slee. We understand that he's still recovering in hospital. So does that mean, as soon as he's regained consciousness, he'll be taken straight to a prison cell?
From what we understand, he has actually been arrested. We understand from a briefing yesterday from the Health Minister, Joe Phatla, he suffered minor injuries from what we understand. Police then managed to track and trace the driver to a private hospital where he was being treated for those minor injuries. And from the statement that was released from the police, we know that he is facing multiple counts of culpable homicide and, of course, malicious damage to property. All we know at this point is that he will be arriving. He will be making his first appearance in court on Wednesday. What you're seeing in front of you right now is that this cover was actually flew from the street during the blast into Ms. Sandra's home. It had hit a wall, just to show you the intensity of the blast. And so, of course, at this point, like the EMS's William Ntladi has said, that while people are coming to the area to see what has happened and the aftermath, they need to be careful and they need to ensure that they are not entering that hot zone. Another issue or some more damage from Ms. Sandra's home is the actual gate. You can see it's been completely ripped off, and that is why she cannot actually stay in her home because security has obviously been breached. And you can see just how close her house is from where the explosion took place, literally just meters away from where it happened. And I think, like many others who survived this, she says, it's really by the grace of God.
Sure. Senior reporter Silindelo Masikane bringing us an update on that Boksburg tank blast in Boksburg.